Hello everyone and welcome back at long last to Automation Empire, where in the last episode, many days ago, we finally managed to unlock the freight train. Now, we are still going to be processing gold because gold still has a function for us. We still need to research another 29 gold to unlock Waterworks. After that, gold itself is no longer something we need to research. Instead, gold fuel is the next on our list, and that is a combination between gold and coal. That will unlock oil. From there, we're going to need oil to unlock farming. Then we're going to need the process from farming, that is grain meal, to unlock. Oh, I just noticed that that wagon has probably been going back and forth without enough room to offload all of its gold for quite some time. But after that, we will get the grain meal to unlock the greenhouse. And finally, with the products of all of these things, steel, which we're already making, gold, fuel, which we'll be making for the oil derricks, capacitors, which we will only be making, for the sake of unlocking the rocket. We will otherwise be using that for trade. It's one of the highest value trade goods. And ethanol, which is a product from farming, we will finally unlock the rocket. So that is our path. The next on the list after gold will be gold fuel. Now, when that time comes around, we're probably just going to be moving all of our research wholesale out of this area. But in the time to come, now, how close are we to our research goals? We're not super close, honestly, so we've got a little ways to go. Down here, things aren't going, well, amazingly. We aren't really moving enough product here to fully saturate all of the road connections that we've got. So we're probably not going to increase that anymore. In fact, increasingly, we're going to rely on rails. But how do we set rails up? Now, rails are a bit of a tricky one. The first thing to understand about rails is they operate on a different scale to minecarts. And in fact, minecarts are a brilliant way of illustrating this. If I try to place this track there, the nearest track I can place is over here. Now, that isn't because there's already a track there. It's just that the grid step is larger. And that's true for pretty much all rail-type buildings. They operate on a larger grid, whereas minecarts operate on a much smaller grid. Now, I can't place one in between the rail tracks there, but as you can see, I can place them quite close together. They operate on, their grid has got a much smaller step scale. Now, that's the first thing you want to be aware of with tracks, is that placing them isn't going to be as convenient as minecarts. So it's probably in your best interest to place them first and then worry about linking up to those tracks second. The next one to be aware of, and this will probably catch a couple of people out, they're bloody expensive. They're 10 times more expensive than minecart tracks. They're 2,000 a pop. That will very quickly sink your profits. Now, what I would love to do is have the rails somewhere around here so that we could deliver steel directly to them, and it would keep all of our exports in roughly the same area so that if we have runoff from one, we can pick it up with the other. Are we easily going to be able to do that? Well, we could. It would require a lot of refactoring of this part of the factory around, though. And I fancy that it would be better for us in the medium term, the short to medium term, just to get a rail set up and running. So let's operate with that. Now, the rail tracks work in exactly the same way as the road tracks. That is, once you've placed your first entrance, all other entrances need to be next to it. The exits don't have that effect. Other than the grid step, the only other thing to be very much aware of is just how wide the turns are on rails. Another reason why placing them can be a little bit finicky. Now, the main thing we want to be shifting is probably gold and indeed steel. Eventually, we want to be shifting gold fuel. We can probably set up something not too expansive over here with that in mind. Now, we are going to have a bit of a loop, and it's going to be, as far as rail connections go, fairly short, but it should work, I'm hoping. Yes, it looks like we can connect up. That is fantastic news. Well, that means we can go ahead and place down some rail silos, some loading silos. Now, these take goods directly delivered to them via containers and pipes. So they don't use boxes. And these will have an effect on the size of trains that get sent to along this track. You can't increase it by clicking on it and just adding more train wagons. In much the same way, I can't add more cargo, rear wagons to the trucks. They come as they come. But you can force the game to give you more wagons per train by adding more silos in a not entirely understood formula. I'm sorry, I have tried to work this out. I haven't really sat down with pen and paper or anything like that, but just casual observation has not been very forthcoming with information on this one. So at the moment, I'm not 100% on why it works the way it does. But after about 4 silos, you start adding cars onto the train. And that is a very, very important thing to note. Now, where are we going to want these, the loading here? Probably straight down here, I'm going to say. We can have this connect up right about there, and we can just take all of the steel from our research area, and that will probably be fine. Let's go ahead and place in a loader here. There we go. And that'll do everything we need. Now, all we need to do at this point is to hook this up. Now, by doing it this way, we're going to allow the train here to load up on steel, drop it all off, and then pick up more steel to go and give to the cars. So in a way, we're still going to be making the most use out of that we can. But we still need to finish off the loop. So let's pop down the exit point there and hook this up. Now, this is a way too closed of a loop. I'm not going to easily be able to add more tracks to this system. This is just here to show us the system in action. Now, with that many carts, I think it would probably be a wise move for us to have more wagons and loading set up straight away. So sure, we can go ahead and do that by placing this here and placing down another tank right there and hooking this up. Now, there is a bit of a glitch in the system, from what I understand. Hopefully this will come along now, that you should stop under the first one. No, it's not going to stop at all because there's nothing to pick up. That is a bit of a shame. We missed it by mere moments. Oh, well. 'Tis what 'tis, I'm afraid. But as you can see, this one is full. This one is filling up. Now, there is a little bit of a glitch in the system. Or I'm assuming it to be a glitch. Now, we haven't got enough track here to completely offload. But if we have a look at the train loading silos, we see that on both sides, it's input. However, it does appear that it can accept output. So if we were to do something like this, you have to have it pointing in, but because of the glitchy mechanics of the way that these work, they load balance, even though the auger should only be shifting things in one direction. And that, it's not like a pipe. Again, it is an auger. And augers work in a very, very specific way. And that is the direction of rotation will dictate the direction of motion. Remember, inside this pipe, it isn't just a free flow of materials, it's a corkscrew. And the direction that corkscrew is turning, much like a screw, if you turn it one way, it'll go into the wood, turn it the other way, it'll come back out. A corkscrew, exactly the same. It's shifting things based on the rotation. This shouldn't work the way it does, but it does. I'm of two minds on whether to make use of that or not. Typically with these sorts of things, I prefer not to make use of obvious bugs. If the game was intended to be played a certain way, I do my best to play it the way it was meant to be played. So we are going to run this track just all the way up here, just to give the wagons a little bit more room. And eventually we'll let all of that siphon out. I'm just going to remove that connection there, and this will eventually empty and we'll get rid of it at that point. But here we go. We've got another train on its way. Now this one should fill up with steel and it's going to be glorious. There we go. Now it'll fill up completely from the first silo, and then I'll move on to the next. Now each cart, I believe, can hold 8, I think. We'll see now. This has got 11 units. Oh no, we're taking out of this one this time. Okay. Well, each of these can hold 16 in total. Now, unfortunately, this is refilling, so it's not a very easy test to observe. But there we go. This one is emptying as well. I guess I could have just taken this away. But we will observe the final one, I suppose. Now this does have 1 in there, so we've got 17 in total. So it should be easy enough for us to see how much it drops off. Are you going to empty out, or is it going to go for that? There we go. Perfect. It does load the full 16. So each cart can take 16 units of steel. So as you can see, a train can shift an awful lot of product. An awful lot of it. And that is quite glorious. But there we go. The steel train should be able to drop off fairly easily. And now we've got that set up, we could quite happily disconnect down here. And I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to allow the cart to move back up. And at that point, we won't need nearly as long of a cart because it's got far less of a journey to make. And indeed, we can go ahead and add more silos. Now, as you've seen, the trains so far only have 4 silos on them. 4 cars, sorry, and I will call them carts. Forewarned is forearmed. I do apologize for those whose brains will itch as a result of that, but tis what tis for the time being. Let's recover some of our wealth by getting rid of this unnecessary track all the way back here. Now, this is going to start really biting into our production of money from the roads. So we're going to have money coming in wider intervals, but it'll still be handing over a decent amount of money when those trains leave the map. There we go. Now, by adding these silos, they don't need to be functional. As long as you've got a silo that works, that's all you need. We will extend this track just a wee bit, and then I will start pulling the track away. Because again, we just don't need this length of track. In fact, we could just hook up on this side because that is the shorter route. I think we shall, in fact, do that. Let's just pull that all the way back. There we go, filling this up. Perfect. Now, what you could do is you could have these feed into each other, and that is a completely valid way of doing it as well. But there we go. We're about to see a truck on its way, and I can remove a bunch of these carts. Now we just don't need it. And as a result, we don't need this abomination of a track any longer. So let's go ahead and pull that right back as well. There we go. This should, well, I mean, it won't at the moment, but it will in time hook up nicely. Let's get that all the way down here. In fact, what we could do is even have just a tiny little car just ferrying resources back and forth. That might not be, in and of itself, a bad move. Sure, why not, eh? Let's go ahead and plonk this right there and have this as an input point. There we are. And at that stage, we just don't need this car to be long at all. It just needs to be long enough to deliver between these. I'll allow it to do one more full run, but following that, I'm probably just going to disconnect this cart completely and have this one load from out here instead, from a bit of a nicer angle, I would say. Right, there we go. We can get rid of that completely. We're more than likely going to be transitioning to this kind of build more and more as time goes on. Just having a tiny little cart, just ferrying resources from inside the factory to the outside of the factory. And back and forth and back and forth. There we go. Because you just don't need much to be able to shift when you've got such a short track that it's trying to move along. With that, we'll pull all of this down. There we go. I'm sorry. I know. It's a little bit annoying, but we'll fix it in just a second. There we are. Right. Actually, you know what? As much as that steel there being lost will irritate me a little bit. Let's redesign this a bit. I'm going to allow a train to come through and to empty this up. And we are instead going to move these along just a little bit, because I think we should be able to get a much nicer little setup here. The fact that we've got the trains running at all is just glorious to me, and that's really all I needed. Now, where would the next silo be? Again, we are operating with a very tight system here, and it's a bit of a shame, but we can still squeeze a bit of efficiency out of it. Something like that there. Would this be 1, 2, 3? Ah, perfect. Absolutely marvelous. So as you can, oh, well, that wasn't quite what I meant to happen, but sure, okay. These now won't do any kind of loading, which is more than a bit of a problem, but we'll just have to wait for this one to dump out its cargo. But while all of that is going on, we can at least prepare the system to be used. So we would want this about here, right about there, in fact. And we would want the minecarts to deliver to this point. There we are. And at that stage, we can have the minecarts just swing down around here, something like this, and that will work perfectly. Now, they won't take from a partially filled silo. Now, at the moment, we've got 4 silos, 4 cars. Are we going to see a 5th? We are going to see a 5th. So by having 4... Oh, in fact, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it's still 5. Can we see a 6th there? We may see a 6th. Again, I don't quite understand the formula that's being used, quite sadly. But no, only 5 cars now, but that's still pretty good, if you ask me. Right, with this one, we will drain out these final 2 silos, and we can add in the much larger silo, and that'll run everything for us, which will be grand. Right, let's add a couple of carts. Thankfully, the trains are very slow moving, so we don't need to worry over much about the amount of carts or how fast we can shift this product around. But I still want it to be at least a little bit more than just 2 carts. Let's have 4 and see how that goes. In fact, we can add 5 there due to that. And that should be more than enough, I would say. We may need to add 1 final cart over here. Very close. No, actually, we're good. There we go. So we should be able to shift a decent amount of product over there. In fact, we could set up a loop if we really wanted to. Is there really much reason to? Not really. There are times when loops are genuinely the better option, but I don't think this is one of them. Right, okay, so that train is going to be doing its thing, and we have now fully exhausted all of the steel down here. That is marvelous. Let's go ahead and claim all of this wonderful, wonderful research. And at that point, these wonderful, wonderful research centers can go away. Of course, I've now broken the power network. Silly me, I guess, but let's go ahead and connect that back up. We can hook that up, hopefully, on the back over here. Oh, no, just a little bit too shy. There we are. That will work. And now we can clear up this space. Now, again, ultimately, I want to move the trains over here so that any runoff can be fed to the road loading. I think that would be a better system for us in general. Now, this wagon here is not really doing anything with the iron that it's got. So I could just send that all the way down here and have that fill up over here. But right now, things are going really, really well. I think we need to dramatically increase the size of this, of our operation here. I mean, one of the big advantages to having a loop system, and one that I didn't discuss just now, is that it would allow us to have a ridiculous amount of wagons on this loop if we wanted to. And I guess that isn't the worst thing in the universe. Let's go ahead and shut that down briefly. There we go. There we are. If we hook that up like so, then we can just add more and more carts, and it would do a pretty good job of shifting the steel around. In fact, we could fill it all the way up if we wanted to. And we would more than likely see this steel just move at ridiculous pace over here. There we go. Now, let's have a proper watch of how much money this train makes each stop. Bearing in mind that it's still not moving at the fastest speed that it can, we can increase the frequency of the trains for a lot of research points. An awful lot of research points, actually, which is a bit of a problem. We have, however, already shifted enough for us to unlock the next. So I'm going to tell you to stop moving gold. We may even be able to set up a gold train shortly. We would need to extend the track, and we are limited because of how large of a turning circle we have on these trains. But each cart is moving 36,640 worth of product. That is pretty amazing, let's be honest with ourselves. And this is keeping up with the demand quite easily. We could fill a much larger train. Now, we don't have any means to tell silos to skip. So as the trains come through, they are simply going to load up as best they can and then continue on their way. And that is a bit of a problem, if I'm honest. Can we change the elevation of tracks? We can't. Oh, that's a bit of a shame. That would have made things a wee bit easier for us, but I guess no to that. Well, with the money that we have, would we be able to run this all the way over to another area to let the train out off the map? Where's the nearest cliff face? The nearest cliff face is all the way over here. As you can see, a long train line is extremely expensive to run. Still, this may be worth it for us. Alright. Well, we could have that turn in there and have it exit at this point. There we go. That is an extremely expansive track at this stage. And we can just get rid of that and add in the remaining tracks there. And we've now got a very, well, potentially a very long train. All right. Well, with that, let's continue pushing this train and just see how far we can take it, shall we? We're loading there, so let's continue adding in these large silos. Let's grow for another 2. I think would be very nice, and we'll see how that affects the length of the trains that we get. So we're going to be adding another 4 loading bays for trains. There we are. That's a lot of money spent on getting this up and running. But that is, well, as we can see, that's moved a lot of the steel right now. And that should be very nice for us. We're still producing ridiculous amounts. I can increase the speed by which we're moving that across by doing this. If we just have that tucked in there, that should be adequate for us. And then we want an offloader and a main loader. There we are. And add another 2 carts. There we go. This should be able to speed up the rate at which we can move the steel to the tracks. Because right now, we are using a lot of it. A crazy amount, in fact. Let's have a look at you. We could tell you to skip every couple of carts, but there's really no point in it. That would really gain us nothing in particular. That being said, I guess we could have something like that over here. There we go. Look at that going. Now, of course, the augers would balance, but right now, the train themselves won't skip. So we just need to wait for each one in turn to offload. Now, this train, we've got 8 silos, so we've doubled the amount of silos. Will that double the size of the train? The train was 5 cars long with 4 loading silos. Will it be 10 cars long with 8? We'll have a watch of that, but while we wait, let's swing on down, gather up our gold, and I think for the time being, I may actually set up the gold to be sold straight away. Seems like a reasonable thing to do while we're still gaining a bit of research. It is always worth keeping your research running. Always, always worth it. Right, how many cars so far? It's loading very slowly. We've only loaded 4 fully. We're on our 5th, and we can definitely see a 6th there. So there's at least something, I guess. Right, we're going to want loading around here, let's say. And have that swing on out and back up to the train line over there. There we go. Bit of a hodgepodge, if we're honest, but it does its job, I guess. Right, and we would like this to offload. There we go. So we're at least doing something with the gold. Right, how many cars have we got? Let's have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Looking good so far. I believe I can see a 9th one in there. And we're doing good with the steel as well. We're moving that steel very quickly. We are finally starting to hit the rate at which we can produce it, though. That is nice. Because we've definitely got room to expand that. And we want to. We want to expand that factory to its capacity as much as we can make from all of the iron and coal that we're producing. We want a bit more coal ultimately because we want to do other things with it. But this is going quite nicely so far. How many more? Is there another cart in there? No, that looks like our lot. So let's have another count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So yes, I wonder if increasing this up to 12 will give us 15. Now, I believe there is a maximum wagon number that you can have on a train. So you don't necessarily want to just make a million of these, because after a point, it's not going to do you any more good. But it is something that you want to get the most out of that you can, whilst it's cost effective to do so. All right, let's get rid of this really expensive track down there. There we go. Nice. Now, the next thing you might want to do is to supply additional trains, because as you can see, that train, another train like that is not going to be summoned for quite some time, but we have easily got the numbers to run several of those trains because they take so long to load, and that's the big problem there. I think we will max out the line. Well, we are already starting to decrease our available resources here. We'll see if it manages to fill back up by the time the next train comes around. Then we may increase the amount of loading. But I think the next best step will be to load a different train. But for that, we are going to need to head on down and see about getting some gold research on the go. We're going to allow you to continue doing all of your research for the time being. We're down to only 3 research centers, but that will have unlocked, or given us enough, to unlock the Waterworks. And with that, we can drastically increase the amount that we're producing of any of the resources that we're mining, which may really... Are you still not managing to drop off everything? One would have thought you would, but I believe these were completely full, so that might be playing into it a bit. We can't easily drop off any more down here. What may be a better option is to have a smaller cart that makes more frequent trips, but again, this is such a squirrely little route that it's taking that I don't necessarily think that's going to be the best option for us. Let's just allow this to drop off the gold as it can. Right. How are we doing for steel? We're down to just 16 units in the storage inside the factory. But we've barely even touched the iron at the very least, and the coal. So we could easily expand this factory out and add in more and more lines of combiners to make ever more steel for trading. I haven't seen a second train come through in a while, though. That is a little bit of a worry. Let's have a look over here. How much are we making? Now, our monthly revenue is going to go up and down right now, simply because we're not getting one train every month, basically. This long track is not ideal, because you'll only start the countdown for the next train once this train leaves the map. So you want kind of a high turnaround on these. You want this to leave much sooner than we're allowing it here. This is not a good system. Really, really isn't a good system. But right now it's the best system that we can put together. Another option would possibly be to curl it up and around, but it wouldn't really improve the efficiency that much, if I'm perfectly honest. The best area does really feel like it would be over here. Maybe we could get rid of one of the roads completely and just switch it over to trains on this side. That might be a good move. And then shift the steel back down still. We could have a look into the possibility of that, I suppose. But at the very least, we're now getting the train on there. We can research the frequency of trains, but it's very expensive to do so. But we can knock 5 seconds off the frequency. That, it's much larger difference than with the cars, where you were knocking off 1.5 each. We've been knocking off a whole 5 seconds each. But this loading time and that incredible long distance that it then has to travel, that's where it's really, really going to hurt us. Is there a better option for us at this length? Because honestly, 10 is not a bad length to have. The biggest issue for me is where to offload. I really wish we could have some sort of platform, like a factory town style, where we could just have the build up a platform to have the trains offload. But, that is the wrong thing anyway, so it wouldn't have helped. Still. Oh, no. Oh. Well, if we're only using one train, that wouldn't be a problem. Still, we do want more than one train. Is it possible for us to get it around the corner? It might be. it's going to be so squirrely. But it will be faster than what we've got. And that is all we really need. Just need it to be a bit faster. And down here. Sure. This is a better system by a small margin. But I'm willing to spend the money to get that small margin. I mean, ultimately, if we look at it, it probably isn't that much of a difference, but it will allow us to more conveniently place other trains, other train loading areas around here. But ultimately, I think we're just going to have to bite the bullet and move this whole the train loading somewhere else. Maybe on that side of the dried up river. I think around here might be quite nice because you've got a lot of options. You could have several trains just kind of running that route. That's reasonably short, all things considered. Alternatively, you could even have them running up there if you didn't care to gather that material. We've also got down here would work quite nicely. Down there would work very nicely. That's a very short route. Ah, there's the map border. Well, we can have a think about that one, but I do want to set up a gold line next. And then right after that, we're going to start having to think about gold fuel. Now, we're not even fully making use of the steel complex that we've built. And part of that, I feel, is coal. I think we're lower on coal than we are on iron, especially considering part of our iron isn't even being used right now. It's just kind of going nowhere. I could have that iron feeding into our research in place of the gold. It's not a bad use, really, when you think about it. We do allow our carts to offload the iron here and there. So it's not terrible, but it's also far, far from ideal. But it looks like we are actually backing up this system at this point. So, sure, we can afford to expand it out just a little bit more. Let's go ahead and do that. And quickly add that. So if we place these down now, that should affect the size of the train that gets sent. Oop, wrong way. They have to be pointing inwards, even if they don't really. There we go. And that'll allow us to move a little bit more. But that's the most offloading that we're going to be able to do there. But that does give us a convenient area to offload the gold on the other side. And that it would be quite nice, actually. So let's go ahead and set up another train around here. That's fine. We can quickly move this along. Let's place down the train first. Right there. And everything has reconnected. Perfect. Now, these do require power to operate, as you may have noticed. Unlike the roads, they require a little bit of extra oomph to get going. And at this stage, I don't think we're going to need more than 4 here, realistically speaking. But we'll plan for the eventual expansion. There we go. We always want to be making more money. We always want to be expanding our operation. Otherwise, taxes will eventually cripple us. Go ahead and offload there. And because we're going to have a much smaller cart track, we're not going to have to worry about this one as much. Let's pop down a little bit there. We'll just extend that out. That should be fine. Something like that will do. Oop, that was a bit of lag there. I do apologize. Right, let's get all of this out of the way. And then connect this up. Actually, we're going to want the elevation first. And that's going to have to happen all the way over here. Let's hope that this has got enough room. We've got plenty of room to adjust it if it doesn't. But it would be nice if it would just play nice right from the get-go. There we go. Marvelous. All right, you go and grab all of that gold. Now, we're not producing enough gold here, is the problem. What we can do is, now that we actually have water, we can start increasing that quite a lot, in fact. But there we are. We've got some gold going there. These won't offload unless they're completely full, so we do need to bear that in mind. And also, we won't even get any trains for a while until we bring this out. And we may as well actually, there is no reason to have the train tracks that close together going out there, but we do need to leave this much room between them for the eventual exit point. But over here, we can afford to have them a bit tighter together just to save on some space for us. It looks like we're going to need that space. Oh, luck, not judgment. Absolute luck, not judgment there. Well, that is our limit on this side, at the very least, to the amount of trains we can have. Though I suppose we could have the route go a little bit wider. That wouldn't be terribly bad, I guess. We want it to be about there. And we want the out point right there. There we go. Another train set up and ready to run. Marvelous. Right, this card is already having issues taking enough product, having enough product to collect over here. In fact, we're not easily going to be able to make it longer. I suppose we could have it exit out the back of the factory. But what we are going to do is finally place down a water reservoir. Now, this is an expensive building. Pumps around underground water into pipes, which can be connected to various structures wirelessly, uses 2,000 of power per month. Now, you don't need to hook it up to any kind of wired network of power. As I said, it's wireless, which is very, very nice indeed. That is especially useful because we are going to want to connect it up to many, many things. So there we go. Now, with pipes, we've got options. Pipes are actual pipes. So, as you can imagine, we can cause them to do all kinds of awesome things and branch off each other because there's just pressure in the pipe system that you're looking for. Oops, that was one too many. Really? That will be annoying. It'll look really, really janky. I don't like janky looking things. There we go. Right, this is now going to be watered. Or it should be. Capacity 040. Why is that? Was there no water there? It should. Let me have a quick look at that. Does it say auto rotate? Yeah, it should be working. That should accept water. Let's have a look at other areas. Perhaps there are only a couple of areas that can accept water. I was under the impression that they would work on this map as well. I could be wrong. Let's see. It didn't show up any particular issue to me placing it there. There is no need for water to be connected directly. The other thing you can do with pipes is you can run them just straight into a factory. Oh no, there we go. Water enables fracking. Fracking increases extraction speed by 30%. Right now, this is water connected, so it's drawing 10 units of water from here, and as a result, the cost of the machines inside 10% lower. But that should have connected up. I wonder why it did not. We'll have to have a look into this. Let's delete this pipe all the way back. It may have been because of the way that I hooked it up initially. Perhaps I really need to make sure that the pipes connect up in more of a direct capacity, like so. Will that be connected now? Yeah, there we go. How bizarre. Now, water can propagate through structures, I believe. But honestly, having the pipes moving around the network just looks so damned cool that I prefer doing it like this. Let's get that out there. Womp. And then I want it to come back down. In fact, let's delete this. Thank you. I would like this pipe to come down on this side. There we are. And then hopefully... it looks like I might need to adjust this little corner. What we'll do here is draw a connection there. Now, I should be able to have that just connect straight in. Now, is this watered? Yes, there we go. It doesn't make it super clear how you can place the pipes, it seems, which is a bit of a shame, really, but, oh well, it's not the worst thing in the world. We'll do this and come back around and in. Can I connect up there? I might be able to, you know. Yes, marvelous. Now, these are all producing 1/3 faster than they were before, which is gross. We should start seeing that effect taking place as we move gold around. Only 2 carts. Just not enough. Not enough. Let's have a watch of you. Are you going to be able to move this around a little bit faster, I wonder? Maybe. But we definitely need more gold coming in. This is unable to accrue enough in the time that we want. It's going to kind of waste some of the space here. Oh no, there we go. 2 is building up. How about down there? There we go. You've got 2. You've got 3. Alright, well, it's not terrible. At least we're seeing this filled partially. It's still not amazing. Now, with the connectors that we've got, yes, they're expensive, but they don't take any more power to use. So ultimately, we're going to want to set those up in pretty much everywhere that we can. We're moving the gold right now, and that's fine. But we are going to want to set up more production with the gold, simply because we are going to need it for our gold fuel. Let's get rid of you. Move that across a little bit more. There we are. Again, I just feel that having pipes all over the place really makes it feel like a factory. We could hook up to the iron over here. There's no reason to do that right now. I do, however, want to hook up to the factory itself, though. That I definitely feel there is a reason to do. There we go. So let's get that just turned in there. And then this can hook up down here. There we are. Nice. Is that hooked up to water? Yes, perfect. I really love the industrial look of the piping. That's fantastic. All right, so far then, we have managed to hook up the trains. We've in fact got 2 trains. Though again, because of the way that it balances, this is not the best system for us at all. Because unless these have 16, and it's balancing the 16, so yeah, the train's already here. It's not going to get... it's going to completely waste this trip, unfortunately. Oh! Wait. How did that... Oh! Of course. Alright, there's no way of me implementing this system the way I think the game was intended to work without making use of that glitch then, it seems. Basically, these are draining into whichever silo is offloading the gold. And so it's balancing that way. I could have excess steel being delivered this way, and I guess I'll show that in action. We would need... Is this 3? Yes, it's 3. Now, if I place this down, it's a bit glitchy. If I were to do something like this, for example, then I could place these in position. And, oh, they're not loading up. Okay. I think that's because these are offloading in that direction right now. Let's see if we can make that glitch happen. Not that I encourage its use, you understand, but for science. Let's pop these down there. Now, will this propagate? It does not. All right, so that glitch is gone then. I approve of that. It used to be that you could just daisy chain them and they would feed into each other. So you could have several rows of trains being loaded off single silos on one side. And again, that doesn't feel like what the way the game was intended to be played. But, you know, it's just the way it is. Now, let's have a watch of these exiting. There we are, 28,160 per car full of gold. And still the 36,000 for the cars full of steel. That is absolutely wonderful. How much have we shifted recently then? Our 3-month weight output is 11,968. What are we looking for our next thing? Just shy of the amount that we're going to need to unlock the oil derrick. Okay, that is a goal for us. But as much as I wanted to set up the production of gold fuel, I think we've run out of time. Unfortunately, it does look like we have saturated our use of steel, though. So possibly getting some extra steel over on this side may be worth our time. How we'll do that, I'm not entirely certain. Actually, we could easily have a little cart delivering of it. You know, I'll do that before we wrap things up. I just don't like stopping playing this game. I'm not gonna lie, it's just one of those games. It's Moorish. It's like a bag of M&Ms. You know you should stop, but you just don't want to. All right, there we are. Let's get all of this going. Right, let's pop these down there. So we're going to be topping up whatever we can't use in gold with steel. Now, the way we're going to do that is we're going to want a cart to pick up there. Now, ooh, we don't have quite enough room. That's fine. We can make this work still. Let's place this about here then. Right about there. Let's see, can we make that turn fast enough? Ooh, no. Alright. Is there a way that we can have this work? Possibly. We can be right up against... Yes, we can do it in the end. We can be right up against the track. So there we go then. We will have an offloader over here. A loader over here. Oh. Why not? Looks like we're a little bit too close to that edge there. Well, that's okay. Let's place this in on this side. Straight across. And then all the way around. That should be fine. I'm not really sure why we couldn't place that one there. Let's just double check that again. No, it really doesn't want to. Alright, that's fair enough, I suppose. Right, start adding more carts. 3 should do. Can we fill 3? Yes, we can. Marvelous. And then we'll do exactly the same on this side. 1, 2, 3. There we go. And we didn't build the silos, so we can't make use of it whilst the train is on its way, but that's fine. Pop these down. The train was full of gold. Anyway, but there we go. That's actually quite a productive little freight train area, I would say. And the trains are moving reasonably frequently. Is there a way of unlocking faster trains? It doesn't look to be the case, no. That's a shame, but oh well. Right, we are going to have to hook up some form of additional research. We could bring over steel, since that is by far the most effective trade good we have at the moment, but we could also just wait on setting up the gold field. But that does mean that for now we're not producing research, and that's probably not a good idea. We'll address that in the beginning of the next episode, though. I really, really do hope you have enjoyed today's episode and finally seeing trains. And you know what? By intention, in a way. The thought didn't escape me while I was doing it, but I didn't mention it at the time. It's a loop of trains. So really, this is for you, Bentham. Hope you're doing good, buddy. And with that, do take care, everyone.